Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mirrorwood Center today. We are so excited to have artist Jill Pam with us. And the Mirrorwood Center's own Jen Schmitz is a childhood friend of Jill's. And so when she came to us and said, this person's art is the coolest thing, you got to see what Jill Pam is doing. And we took a look at it. We knew right away that Jill was someone we wanted to have come to the Mirrorwood Center and talk to all of us today about the creative and interesting art that she is doing. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Jen Schmitz so she can introduce her childhood friend and we can get started today.
Thank you, Susan. My name is Jen Schmitz. I'm the COO at the Mirrorwood Center, and today I'm delighted to introduce Jill to the Mirrorwood Center. Jill and I go way back. We're families or family friends. I think you were at like my second grade birthday party, or maybe even earlier. I first started seeing Jill's work on social media, and I just became an instant fan. She's really discovered a new way to use magazines, glue, and a hole punch to transform household items into magical works of art. Jill studied painting, sculpture, and drawing in college and graduated with a degree in graphic design. ABC News and the Chicago Tribune are two of the many outlets that have featured Jill's works. And now I'd like to welcome Jill to the Mirrorwood Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, the Mirrorwood Center. Hi to some people that I know out there, and thank you for those who are indulging me and who I don't know who are interested. I appreciate seeing all of you. And as Susan said, I would love for this to be interactive. It's not very often that I'm asked to talk about myself for an hour. So feel free to jump in, and if you've got questions, if you have tips, stories that maybe we can learn from you, I welcome that. The work that I do is very tedious. It takes hours and hours, and I know there's been other programs where you've had some how-to demonstrations. I'm not going to go about that because would be like watching paint dry. So what I am going to do is I'm going to start with a couple videos of some coverage that I had, some press coverage that I had, and it can give you an idea. And then I'll do a little show and tell with pieces that I have here, and we can discuss whatever comes up. So I'll start now sharing my screen. So bear with me. Hopefully this will all go smoothly. Okay. Here's the first one. I hole punch out of magazines and catalogs and create images from that. Just kind of your brain working like a jigsaw puzzle and trying to figure out what little holes belong where. It brings me such joy to see it come together.
Hey everyone, Jesse Kirsch in Chicago. We're talking about a local artist today doing some really cool work. Her pieces kind of remind me of a modern day pointillism.
It was a snowy day. I was by myself with just a hole punch and glue and magazines. I don't know where it came from.
You know those pesky little dots that come out of the hole punch when you're done using it and they just like fall everywhere? Well, Jill Pam is using those to make art.
And I literally take dozens of magazines and I peruse. This dot belongs here, that dot belongs there. You start seeing this image and this life come together. It brings me such joy to see it come together. Okay, I have one more to show you. Sorry. Here we go. This all started by accident. I was stranded alone in Michigan. I didn't have a car. It was snowing out. I needed a little art therapy. I found a hole puncher and I made it into an artistic instrument. My work starts by looking like a disease on a piece of canvas, but it all comes together like a jigsaw puzzle. If it's not working, I can just keep layering and layering until I get it right. I always had a real attraction to paper, but I didn't plan to be a hole punch artist. I feel that I'm making a mark punching magazines, periodicals, catalogs. I've donated profits from my work to different charities, but the joy that is brought to people is even more wonderful. It's really meaningful to focus on people that I don't necessarily know. What I'm most proud of is the idea that I've contributed. My name's Jill Pam, and I'm a hole punch artist. I did it. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of who I am and where my journey has been. I've had a lot of different incarnations, maybe some of you as well. This all started as my nest was becoming empty and I was searching what I was going to do, what the next chapter was going to look like. And it was unplanned. As you saw, it just happened, and it's been a real passion for me, and I've really loved it, and I've loved, I think, every piece that I've created, and it's been great to put it out there and get response from people and bring some happiness and donate it in any way that I can and make my mark in any way that I can. So if anybody has any questions now, feel free. Otherwise, I will start with a little show and tell. So I've got my some original pieces here. The very first piece I did is Lady Gaga. And she was the piece that I created in Michigan. The funny thing about some of these things that I'm going to show you are kind of like my little kept secrets. And that is, I don't know if anybody remembers when Lady Gaga put on her meat suit years ago. I think it was like for the MTV Awards or something. So the frame is actually on a meat cutting board. So I try and repurpose things as best as I can, and I try and have a little fun. So that was kind of a fun little secret for me. She hangs on the wall and nobody knows any other. So she was my first piece. The second piece I did is my teenage heartthrob. I listen to Springsteen all the time. So I created this hole punch on its own. And then I really try and think about the essence of the portrait that I'm doing and how to bring that out. And Springsteen was very much about bandanas and ripped jeans. So here you can see on the back, I've covered it with jeans, and then I've ripped these holes into the canvas itself to create his essence. And then the frame that I'm putting on it, which I'm getting ready, I'm doing a lot of framing right now because I'm getting ready for a festival, but I simply took bandanas and I'm wrapping them around the frame so that he can hang looking polished and finished. So that was I think that was my second piece. On a road trip, well, actually that wasn't my second piece. My second piece isn't here. So the pieces that I'm showing you, I've done about 25 pieces to date. and the pieces that I still own that are the originals are the ones that I'm showing you. So when we were on a road trip, we listened to Michelle Obama on her book on audio, and I created this piece, and I really wanted to, she's such a lively person, right? And a dynamic person. And I wanted to show both the blue of being a Democrat, but also kind of her, I highlighted her eyes in more of a, I guess in more of a 70s way, but I just wanted her to pop because she should. And then this is also paper background. I like to use papers. I like to use textures. I wanted to bring both gold and blue into her background. You know, I feel like it captures who she is. So with that, I started working with a photographer who did reprints for me. So I'm now doing these very quickly. I learned I'm spending so much time on these pieces, and for them to go away was kind of heartbreaking. And I, you know, maybe for many artists it is, I'm not sure, but sometimes it's hard to let go of things. So I found a photographer who was doing reprints for me. And what I learned is I could take that same piece, and you can see, besides touching it, which now she's all smooth, but she's pretty much looks the exact same. And then I thought also, then I can start working on different framing. So I got like these antique tacks that I purchased, and I just did something very simple. It's just recycled cardboard. So it's really light and easy to use and easy to hang. And what's also interesting about some of the pieces is depending what size the reprint goes to, the holes become smaller or larger, depending what I did originally. And that's kind of cool because you can see more detail in them as they get larger. Most of my originals I think I've done are 16 by 20. I did one of Ben Platt, which was an 18 by 24, and I vowed I would never do that again because it was kind of insane. So the next one I did was Andy Warhol, and this was a black and white portrait that I really felt for some reason it jumped out at me, and I thought I needed to bring him to color. You know, he's such a colorful character. And for the background, I decided he was so, you know, he used so many just ordinary household items like the soup can or, you know, things that he's very famous for, and made them into art. So I had a paint swatch book at home, and I don't know, it just came to me that I thought he should go onto a paint swatch background. So that's what I did. And so I've discovered with framing, like I said, I like to repurpose things, and I had these yardsticks in my house. So I started using that as a frame, and I'll continue to cover it with the paint swatches. So that's that one. The pandemic hit, as we all know, and stuck inside, I did a lot, and I really wanted to try to give back there was obviously a lot going on during that time. And I had people who kept asking me, when are you going to do Jerry Garcia? For those of you who know or don't know Jerry Garcia, he was just a musician from the Grateful Dead who people just kept saying, you need to do Jerry Garcia. So I decided, typically I didn't do things that weren't necessarily either speaking to me or I wasn't being commissioned for, but I said, you know what, I'm going to do Jerry Garcia and I'm going to see what we can raise and give back. And I ended up donating the charity, the profits to the Chicago Food Depository. The original is still with me. I was hoping that somebody would buy the original and then we could donate more money, but all the reprints went to the Chicago Food Depository. So here he is, here's Jerry Garcia, all done in dots. And then there's this old preschool trick. Jerry Garcia, the Grateful Dead, was very well known for tie-dye. So I took coffee filters. These are all coffee filters. And for those of you who don't know, but if you take them and you soak them in water, you simply drop food coloring on them and there you get tie-dye. So, and that's just simply on a piece of board. I'm still kind of working out the frame situation. So same thing happened with, at the time, we all know George Floyd. So I decided I wanted to give back some way to the community, and the reprints here went to an organization in Chicago called Imagine Englewood If. You can look up all these great organizations, but I was researching and choosing places that seemed to be in need. NPR had resources. I remember going on trying to see where money was best served. So I created this kind of iconic symbol, and then you can't really see, but in the crowd, there's a bunch of little eyeballs that represent people. So I punched both colors and wanted to be very colorful, but I also put in little eyeballs of people there. This Buddha became one of my most popular prints. I made this for a friend who is a wellness instructor and a yoga instructor, and it was just a little 8x10 that I made for her. And I've gotten so many requests for it. And this is one of the images that I told you, because it was an 8x10. As it gets bigger, I've actually made it into yoga mats, and you can see all the details of the colorful dots. And it's a happy Buddha, and it just brings people happiness. Here's my, I made it into a phone case, which I like because it makes people smile if I'm taking pictures of them. This is Marsha P. Johnson. For those of you who don't know her, she was very involved in Stonewall, an activist and LGBTQ. She was a drag queen and someone who really just stood up for the community. My son was studying her at the time and told me about her, and I watched this wonderful documentary on her and decided that she was such a colorful character. I guess in the same way that Andy Warhol was. I just wanted to bring all the flower and color back to her and radiate who she is. So that was a fun piece for me to do also. And I guess something that I can mention now is you can see how she's on this background. So when I do bring my prints to my photographer, he takes them first like this, which is why I don't put them right on the background. He takes the image just like this, and then I have the ability, for instance, in the Bruce Springsteen print that I showed you, I've reprinted it for people. It's been like a great Father's Day gift for people that are Springsteen fans. They can do lyrics in the background. Same with Jerry Garcia. People have done lyrics. So then, because it's shot without the background on, you can drop it into a background. So that's been kind of fun to do as well. Okay, this was, I don't know if anybody has seen this TV show. I was actually a contestant on this show. I was invited to come to be on, it's a remake of You Bet Your Life. So I met Jay Leno, and on their marquee, it was all lit up. I decided that I should light him up, and I gave it to him. And because he's not allowed to accept gifts on a game show, it's part of their law. He gave it back to me. He autographed it and gave it back to me. So I don't know yet what I'm going to do with it, but I'll do something with it. This past year, my husband and I have moved ourselves. We're now in Atlanta. We're on our way to Asheville, North Carolina, that we're moving to next year. And so there's been a lot of road trips and sunsets. And I started just sketching when we were on the road. I was just taking oil pastels because there was a gorgeous sunset. And then there's a barn here, other barns that we'd see on the road. We've been traveling a lot back and forth, both to Chicago, to Ohio, where my son's at school, to Asheville to visit our new home. And I've been inspired by these barns that we've seen. And there's one here, shout out to my mother-in-law. We go there often. It's called McDaniel's Farm, and they've got this very cool old barn, which I don't know. I guess I'm always drawn to barns. Maybe a lot of us are. We seem to see them a lot in art. So I kind of started thinking that I liked the way this gave me more freedom than portraits are very detailed and they come with a lot of different responsibility, I guess. This is from my own mind, my own imagination. I can throw the dots down wherever I want. So I've been enjoying this more as of late. And so things that I'm starting to work on, I think we all kind of evolve as we get into something or move around in different ways that I guess speak to us at the time. So the freedom of what all this is giving me now has been really nice. So I found, my mother hasn't seen this, she's here, but my mom and I were shopping together, and this old piece of wood was hanging on a wall in a store we went to, and it was just screaming at me that I needed to use it as a frame. So I'm currently working on this piece, which I like the contrast of the dots and the design and what it offers onto this old piece of wood. So that's something that I'm currently working on. I'm also currently working on, oh, this was something kind of crazy that I did. So just trying to try out different things. I like functional art a whole lot. And when I say this was crazy, it's because it took me a very, very long time. It's actually a wine bottle. These are chopsticks. I had bags and bags of chopsticks that I saved every time, every time you get Chinese food, I saved them knowing I was going to do something with them one day. I didn't know what that was going to be. I didn't know that it was going to be a candle holder. So the chopsticks are glued onto this wine bottle. I tried it out. You can see the candle in there. It was actually very beautiful as it lights up. It's still work in progress, but the thing about this is there's not going to be a reprint involved. So it takes a whole lot of time and then it's done. But it was fun nonetheless. And then this bowl I'm currently working on. So this bowl we had sitting in our house and it takes up a lot of space. And I tried to sell it in my garage sale and then decided I really didn't want to, that I was attached to it and people were, offering me $1 for it. So I decided to keep it and I decided, well, you know what? It doesn't have to be a bowl. It can be a frame. So I'm creating this kind of sunburst, if you will, mandala type geometric piece. And eventually here are those coffee filter pieces again that I was playing around with. And eventually it'll be a frame. So that's something I'm having fun with now as well. Those are all the pieces I have to show you. What's sort of fun with the pieces is I've learned that I think, in the video you could see I've made things into pillows, into jigsaw puzzles. So just fun ways to keep, if somebody doesn't want a piece of art, they can have a pair of leggings, they can, with RBG on them, they can have some happy pillows that sit on their outdoor bench. And that's been really, I've had a really nice response to all of that. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. We can also go to my website and I can talk through the pieces that I don't have in my possession.
What is it, what do you use to, like after you put those little punches in, what do you use to glue it down, or how does it stay down? What is that?
Simple Mod Podge. You can get it at any craft store.
Hmm.
It's easy. It serves as both a glue and a varnish. It's non-toxic. It comes in all different, like you can get a matte finish, you can get a luster finish. It's really easy. And I literally use my finger, I use a hole punch, and I use my Mod Podge.
Oh,
So that's
so
what I
that's
did.
a photograph of what you want to create, and then you're just looking at that and then finding these little dots. Oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah, I know people ask if I've got bins and bins of dots, and I don't, so far that has not worked for me. I look at a piece and then I'll start tearing through the magazines and figure what pages seem to go with whatever composition I'm working on.
Izzy,
Yeah, do you take your dots out of the magazines? Is that where is that where you take your dots out? So they're kind of shiny, like shiny mag.
Yep.
But your shade, the shading is unbelievable. So do you put, when you punch out the dots, do you put all the like beiges in one section and the pinks in one section and whatever? How do you're the shade?
Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I-
Izzy, I just lost you.
I don't know, it just keeps going. Can you hear me? My computer today is not, can you hear me?
I can
Yeah.
hear you. We can hear you.
I don't know, it just keeps, the video's just gone, I don't know why. But the shadings are incredible, so I don't know how you get the beiges and the pinks and the, it's starting. Oh my gosh, oh my
Let
God.
me see you.
Okay, because I
We
can't
can
see
see you.
anybody now. This will never happen. It's just all I see is Zoom. Anyway, but so you just go from punch to punch, punch a whole bunch of things out and just take those from one pile and put it on another. I mean, that's just seems unbelievably difficult.
It's tedious. It's
Mhm.
tedious. And oftentimes, there's one that I did of my yoga teacher and owner of the yoga studio. And I wanted to get her muscles just right. And I had to keep layering it until the light was hitting where it was supposed to. So on the one hand, it's very forgiving because I don't even have to take it off. I can just put dot on top of dot until I get it right. But on the other hand, it can take a very long time.
Izzy, you want to unmute yourself? We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry.
There you go.
So you keep layering them until you get the right color tinge, or it's just amazing. I that has to be unbelievable that you just keep going through magazines and getting color and punching them out and doing that. Just the color form, it's just unbelievable. I'm
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think for those reasons, I can't collect anything. I think that's why I do it piece by piece to see what's going to work.
Do you do it dot by dot? You don't have a whole bunch in dot by dot. You go through.
I mean, I maybe 5 at a time, but I don't, I'll tell you, I've got all these leftover dots here. So they're not gonna, maybe they'll get used somewhere, but I have found that if I just do 5 at a time, because it really is, I don't see it all coming if I was to lay them all out, I don't know that I could piece them down. So the only way to really see it coming together is by laying it down as I go. Like a jigsaw
I
puzzle.
also saw you do it with the tip of your finger. And it just, that's.
I know. We'll see how long the eyes and the wrist, everything can go, but so far it's working.
Do you sell any of your items?
I do.
And is it on your website?
They're on my website. Yep. So the originals are pricey. So sometimes I'll get commission for originals, but that's probably why I have these still hanging out with me. But the reprints are very affordable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol. I'm interested in your process. So do you see something that inspires you, or do you start with an idea? Like, is it a visual input, or do you think about something?
Well, that's a good question. Initially starting out, it was portraits that were speaking to me. And they really had to resonate in some way with me. If it was somebody, you want to be inspired, right? So I think if it were somebody that wasn't inspiring to me, I think it would show in my work. So the answer to that is the portraits that were inspiring me. Now I do feel like I'm out and about, and And especially since we've been in Atlanta and I'm out in nature and on walks, and I'm really inspired by that, and maybe more of an impressionist kind of way that, you know, turning nature into color and putting the dots down. So I think I'm leaning in more in that direction.
Right. The first part felt like jigsaw puzzle-ish, you know, you had a hero or an inspiring personality, but this is more engaging, more of your own creativity, your own interpretation. Like nature isn't exactly reproducible and certainly not bats, you know, and you add a shine or a glow or a you know, a reflection of light in a way that it probably doesn't exist, but you've created it. So I feel like the second your new work is going to be much more imaginative even.
Thank you. It feels that way. It definitely feels that way. The portraits were interesting in a different way. You know, my brain really had to think about the detail in getting it right. And I don't have to get that right in my own imagination. I can do whatever I want. There's no right or wrong.
Right. You can conjure it now.
Yes.
Pull it out of your own, you know, your own source, which is, yeah, it's interesting that you started with embodied kinds of, and now you're working with images more. So that's, I find that interesting. I'm a writer. I'm interested in process and the way you do things. So thanks. It's enticing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you do anything with like dried flowers or semi-precious stones and maybe small rocks or anything? Do you incorporate that in any of your paintings?
I don't. It's an interesting thought because I've thought about it with like the mandala type designs that I'm starting to do. I've thought about incorporating, and I don't know. In terms of dried flowers, no, I don't. And I haven't in what I'm currently doing. I used to work with resin before, and when I was working with resin, I would. Is that something that you're looking to do? I mean, I could point you to other people if
well, yeah, I do a lot of strange painting. It's not your regular painting, and it's like, but I'm thinking about incorporating some of these other things within to have mixed medium on a canvas, like painting, some type of collage. But I don't like collages like some people do collages, you know, it's just one big kind of glob, but something that has a hidden meaning into the painting.
Well, I would love to send you my brother-in-law's work, who's in Boston. He does a lot of things with in nature, and he also incorporates little film work, little pieces of film negatives that he might scratch out, or x-rays, or just some cool stuff. I can send you his work, and
great.
maybe you'll find that fascinating. Yeah, I think you would.
Thank you.
So Carol has her virtual hand raised, but there is also something in the chat, and there are a couple Carols in your program today. So I'm wondering if it's the same question from the same person. How do you color the coffee filters? She wanted to ask that question of you again. Remember?
Oh, yep. Real simple, very simple. So get yourself some food coloring. And the round here, I'll just take one of these up. So the round coffee filters. So put them under water, wring it out. I don't know, maybe I did these pretty watery, because the more watery, the more it spreads. And then literally lay them out on some parchment or wax paper and take your dropper and drop, and then you put some gloves on because you'll get your hands stained. But you can literally then just pick up the wet coffee filter and tilt it, and it'll make this beautiful tie-dye, and then you'll just let it dry. So, you know, you can make, if you know your color wheel, you can mix the first Jerry Garcia that I did, I mixed blue and red. So I got more purples around him. And then the frame, I'm doing more of a red and yellow to get some orange in there. But it's a fun project to do.
Jill, I have a question for you.
Yep.
So we know Jay Leno saw your artwork of him because you showed him, but have any of the other stars that you've done portraits of, have they seen your work, like Lady Gaga or Ben Platt, any of those people?
So, well, RBG, I have a good story about her. Unfortunately, I mean, I was commissioned to do her just before she died. And I think maybe I finished her right when she died. And her son happens to live in the Chicago area. So I was able to get a portrait to him. And besides that, Ben Platt, I have reached Jenny Walkowitz. You can appreciate that. Jill Levin knew his family members. Also does Mindy. Mindy knows people in Ben Platt's family. He is yet to reach out to me. So I'm a little heartbroken about that, but okay. And then I have a portrait of Amanda Gorman, and I really want to get it to her. I love her, and I've thought about it, and I don't know why I haven't, because I've gone on to find out how I can get it to her, but it hasn't made it to the post office to get to her, but I think I will do that. So no, nobody else. I'm just famous in my own head. So I can show you. Oh, I can, yeah, so I can show you a couple fun things. I guess we've got a little bit of time if you want to indulge me. I can share my screen again and head to my website. Shoot, it's hard because I don't know if I can. Sorry, I don't know if I can do this.
If you want, I can also share my screen and do it on my screen if you are unable to get to it.
Okay, yeah, for some reason, because the it's
Is
too
it the Hole Punch site, Hole Punch Art My site? You just need to, I tried clicking on that tab, one over from the YouTube. Is it letting you?
That's the problem because it's covered up here.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, I can't.
That's okay. Why don't you stop sharing your screen and I'll share mine. Okay, so I've got to get to Google. Okay, and tell me your website.
JillPamArt.com.
JillPamArt.com. There we go. And so Jill, you can tell me what you would like me to click on your
So
website.
if you go, Susan, if you go to Hole Punch Art, it'll take you to that gallery.
Then I think you're sharing the wrong screen.
Oh, I'm sharing, okay, can you see it now?
Mm-mm.
No, we see Facebook.
Okay, that's how I logged into the Zoom, so that's why you're seeing that. Let me see, are you seeing it now? Oh, screen share stopped. Hang on, I'm gonna try one more time. There we go. Can you see it now? No?
Mm.
But here it comes.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
try
we see
one.
it.
I'll try one more time.
No, we can see
Okay,
it.
Oh, you
you're
can
on.
see it. Okay, there we go. Great. Okay, so let me click on Hole Punch Art. Thank you for being patient.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we go. So what would you like to click on? Like me to click on?
So, well, here's the lovely Amanda Gorman. So you can see I took the words "To the Hill We Climb" are all behind there. The original somebody bought, and what I did, if you want to, if you would, Susan, if you click on it, so on the original, I have, I taught myself a little origami and put some birds around it. And what's been sort of fascinating is learning more about the people that I've decided to do the portraits of. And what, you know, what I learned about her was that day she had this ring on at the inauguration that Oprah had given her, and it was a bird, and it represented Maya Angelou and I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. So that was another one of those things, I guess, that, you know, in my mind, maybe somebody wouldn't know why that's there, but that's why I put it there. So it's kind of fascinating to be learning these as I go about the portraits as well. If you go, Susan, if you click out of this and go to this Buddha, which was one of the coolest pieces I've done, and this was a commissioned piece. It's called Exoneration Buddha. And if you're able to zoom in, which I'm not sure if you are, but this was a commissioned piece. This man named Dion Patrick from Chicago had been in jail for 20 years for a crime that he did not commit. And his attorney, who finally helped him prove his innocence, she gave me all the documents. So it's hard to see, but all of the documents are hole punched in here. You can see his name, like in his third eye right there. I put Dion Patrick, and it says innocence coming down his nose. And there's all sorts of court documents throughout that I punched and put in. And that was something she had me do, that she asked. She said, "Are you up for doing a second Buddha? Because I have an idea and I'd like you to do this for me." And then she ended up giving him and some other people on the team reprints of it. So that was a really cool piece for me to do. So, you know, you meet people along the way, you find stories, you share stories. And it's just been, it's been a wonderful journey that just keeps going for me. Lastly, I guess I'll show you, if you let's scroll down there. So there's RBG, and like I was saying, you can see when you just clicked, Susan, you could see, so that's the original, and then you could see on the second one over there, that's the courthouse behind her, and I put in, because she was such a champion for the LGBTQ community, I added in some pride colors. And so that's one of the examples when I said you could cut it out and put in different backgrounds.
I even like how, some of the dots have the lines, so it even kind of mirrors hair, the dots that are in her hair. It's just incredible, the detail and what you've done.
Thank you.
Are there any others that grab people's attention that you'd like me to click on?
So Prince, this is kind of funny about Prince right here. That was a commission piece also. And for some reason, so I don't know if anybody knows Prince music, but he has a famous song called Kiss. And these are all the background, which you can't tell on here, is all dark chocolate Kiss wrappers. So that was a foil background. So just another little funny thing that gets you into my crazy brain.
And in purple too, for Purple
Yeah.
Rain, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So creative.
Thank
One
you.
of the things that was incorporated into the title for today's program is finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. And that's in everything that you do, Jill. I mean, from using candy wrappers to rulers to bandanas. I mean, you just have a vision and can make something that we look at every day and may not look twice at, and you make it into something extraordinary. That's such a gift.
Well, thank you. And I hope maybe that sparks other people to be looking, or maybe you already do, or maybe you'll be looking at things differently also. I think it's just something that I do, and I do it more now. I think that I'm doing my art, so.
Well, and everybody, please make note of Jill's website, because I know you're going to want to go there and peruse all of the work that she's done. So jillpamart.com. And then it looks like, oh, here's Vincent van Gogh.
There's Van Gogh. I put him in a sunflower smock. I mean, he's famous for his sunflowers, but he was such a complicated man, and so much sadness to him. So it was a little bit of my own humor that I decided to put him in a sunflower smock.
So were those actual sunflowers, or you created those all out of just different colored dots? That's incredible.
They're all hole punches. Yep.
Wow. So, and then it looks like in addition to the hole punch art, there's here's in the galleries where you can order and get reprints, other mediums that you work in, gift ideas, just incredible.
Yeah, so the gift ideas, you could see, that's where you can find jigsaw puzzles and t-shirts, sweatshirts, pillows. So just a way to kind of, if you don't have the wall art.
Out there, those RBG leggings. That's certainly one way to to inspire yourself during a workout, right? Girl power.
That's right.
Very nice. Well, we only have a few minutes left. This hour went by very quickly. Does anyone have any final comments or questions before we end things?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Marilyn.
About how long does it take you to do a portrait?
You know what? I get asked that all the time. And quite honestly, I won't count. I won't count because it would probably depress me. So it takes a very, very long time. And I'll work on something and I'll put it down and I'll work on it and I'll put it down because it takes a very, very long time. So, I mean, I don't think any artists do it for money. I think I'm blessed that I can be doing this and that I have a husband and family that supports me. So it's something that brings me a lot of joy in doing it, and I'm passionate about it. And to count the hours would probably turn it into a job, I think.
Thank you. They're pretty. They're really pretty.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Are the candy wrappers hole punched?
They're not. The Hershey's Kisses, no, I laid them down. Yeah. My backgrounds tend not to be hole punch, and a lot of that is very intentional so that the portrait or the foreground doesn't compete with the background.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I really loved in one of the original videos that you showed that they described the person who was moderating described it as modern day pointillism. And I just think that is such a cool description of your work. You are an inspiration. I think we all want to try to do something artistic now if we haven't done so in the past. And we thank you for being here today and sharing your process with us. It is very rare that people get to have a dialogue like this with an artist. So this was extremely special to have you here today. We're so glad that Jen brought us to you, and we wish you the best of luck in the artwork to come. We can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. And I wish the people who are not showing themselves, you know who you are, would have come on so I could see you too, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Susan. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.